I'm doing a giveaway. Stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can enter to win. What is up, everybody? I'm NoLexGiven, and today we are going to be taking a look at a Pan's Shadow game. And to be honest, I was thinking of not even playing Pan's Shadow in this game. I've played the hero a decent amount, and I always play it the same way, trying to force Slay comps. And because of that, the games can feel a little bit samey, and I like to focus on content with creating games for this YouTube channel, but this game definitely delivers. We're throwing some eggs in this pan, and that is going to be enough to really make this game feel different than some other Pan Shadow games. Winds up being one of the most powerful Pan Shadow games that I've ever been able to put together, with an ending that will not disappoint. That's going to be a lot of fun coming up in the future, but to start things off, we have a really strong start to this game. I deliberately lock onto a shop with Baby Root plus 4 Glory to go along with this Humpty Dumpty. Thought process being that even if Humpty Dumpty trades with both of my opponent's units on this turn, we'll still have the Baby Root and we will still probably win this 4 Glory and be able to have additional units going into future turns. Now, it's going to work out even better than that as we get to keep our Humpty Dumpty around too, so now we'll be able to play 5 units here on 2.2. I definitely want to make use of this Shard of the Ice Queen to try to find a pair with either Kitty Cut Purse or Labyrinth Minotaur, but we're going to wind up finding ourselves with a Mad Mim. The real question there was what we wanted to shard. Did we want to shard the Unicorn? Not really, because we could already make a pair out of the Unicorn. And I thought that the egg was still contributing nice stats to the board, that I wanted to go ahead and flip the Baby Root. So that's what we go ahead and do, and it works out very well as Mad Mim allows us to support both of these unicorns and turn them into 4/6s, which are pretty powerful. Then on 3.0, we'll have a pretty nice shop here where we get to pick up a Brave Princess and a Mad Mim and start to work on another tier 2 treasure plus a level 3 treasure. And the early game of Pan Shadow is really about staying alive and making it to level 4, but it's also about using that time to find tier 2 and tier 3 treasures. One of the things that separates Pan Shadow from other heroes is the difficulty of which it is to grab those powerful tier 2 and tier 3 treasures after you hit level 4. So there's a few things that we are always looking for. Hermes Boots, Bounty Board, Dragon's Nest on level 2, those are pretty huge ones. And then on level 3, you have stuff like Bad Moon, Treasure Map, Crystal Ball that are all quite powerful. So that's what I am trying to do here, trying to complete some of these characters that we already have doubles of. Then I see another Easter egg, and that definitely feels a little bit tempting to me. I'm also going to go ahead and pick up a golden chicken before selling that off for a black cat, which works very well with the Mad Mims and Labyrinth Minotaurs that we have. Next turn, this gives us now the opportunity to triple 3 different tier 2 units, and potentially Humpty Dumpty has kind of a downside on it because you're less likely to find those really good tier 2 treasures, Bounty Board, Hermes Boots, and Dragon's Nest, but you also have the ability to find the Easter egg treasure, which is quite powerful. We've looked at that in a lot of videos recently, and we're going to look at that again today as we find the triple of Humpty Dumpty. Select that Easter egg, not really particularly caring about any of the other treasure options that we had in the shop. And then from here, I do consider, oh wow, actually purchase Princess Peep. Okay, I didn't remember that part of the game, but here's what I do know then. I'm going to sell this Minotaur because we've got a Unicorn and we have a Mad Mim, and right now would be the last time to find them. So I'm glad that I did. Now we get to lock onto a Rainbow Unicorn for our start of 4.0, and that's a fine way to start 4.0. I think Princess Peep is actually going to bring a lot of stats to the table, so I really don't hate that pickup either. Get strong and then use that strength to be able to greed and find some more treasures and turn that into some additional strength down the line. We are also going to get our sleigh with Brave Princess so we'll be able to take a look at some tier 3 treasures as well, and then we will be completing a tier 2 treasure. We'll also still be getting a win here with Humpty Dumpty, definitely a strong carry for us, and our tier 3 treasure options are honestly not super powerful. Power Orb works well with some of the token generation that we already have, so that's the reason that I go for it, but it's not supercharged. And then we do have 2 really reasonable options here with Spinning Wheel as well as the aforementioned Hermes Boots. And Hermes Boots winds up being the pickup for me, really just because it helps you slay. It helps your lightning dragons and other slay characters attack earlier, so I'm kind of into it. And then on this shop, I'm locking on to 2 different specific things here. I like the Lady of the Lake because we have the Easter egg treasure, but we also have the ability to pair a lightning dragon with our River Wish mermaid, so I'm not going to turn that down. And ultimately, I decide that with the River Wish mermaid pickup, I'm actually not as interested in trying to just play through the Easter egg of it all. I definitely think that that gave us the strength to get to this point in the game, but I know just for myself that I want to be slaying if I am playing Pan Shadow. So that is what we are going to try to do ultimately. A little bit of a bait with the egg, but we're using the egg here still regardless. I do think about sharding it with Shard of the Ice Queen, but ultimately decide to use the shard on Brave Princess because I felt like the pool of evil tier 3 characters was a better pool for us to look at, and Shadow Assassin, definitely a good one that we can use to some pretty nice effect to build into this comp. This shop has some really interesting considerations. We can Masquerade Ball and see a whole bunch of 4s, or see a whole bunch of 5s rather, or we can just keep rolling and see a whole bunch of 4s. And that's what I'm going to go for because I do really want to try to find Horn of Olympus. That treasure is just so powerful and definitely dictates how I like to play Pan Shadow. So we're going to keep it rolling, and we dodge the Soul Tack here, which is very, very good against King Midas. Well, we dodge it on the first hit, but then we are going to have to attack into it after that fact, and I think we're going to have the stats here to take out this King Midas and still survive thanks to this Humpty Dumpty. Sorry, had a camera issue, so rewinding it back a little bit, but having a perfect game. Pretty exciting, especially on a hero that doesn't even have a hero power until you hit level 4. We've seen perfect games on Pied Piper most commonly, but definitely really cool to have such a strong start on Pan Shadow. And now we are going to try to turn that into a strong late game. We're going to triple the River Wish Mermaid and pick up a Sky Castle. Main reasons for that being that now we can triple or double an additional River Wish Mermaid and potentially try to find Moonsong Horn, or maybe we move into some Princess P shenanigans later on. We definitely do have the Easter egg, so that is a build that I could try to explore some more down the line, but for right now, we are sticking with the Slay. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up a Medusa just to try to keep ourselves strong in this combat, and we are going to be backlining our Shadow Assassin now because we've had to sell down a few of our units, but Hermes Magic Beans along with Hermes Magic Boots are definitely going to ensure that we get the first attack and the last laugh with our huge egg still sticking around here. I'll go ahead and pick up another Lightning Dragon. And yeah, certainly feeling strong. We are now on 5.0 and we see ourselves with a Masquerade Ball, which is going to let us look at some tier 6 characters, and Jormungand is one of them. And while I don't quite have the coin to pick up Jormungand this turn, I think I can risk it. The thing is, Humpty Dumpty is about the same size as Jormungand. The Unicorn isn't really doing anything for us. It's an 816, it's whatever. And the Medusa, we haven't put that much investment into. We can find another Medusa if we really need to in the future. And I think that this board is good enough. We're gonna have both of these Lightning Dragons immediately attack. We're gonna get first attack because of Hermes Magic Boots, and then Jormungand is probably gonna get in there for 60 and additionally slay himself. So I think that we're looking pretty good to just run this board. The Lightning Dragons actually get in an additional sleigh because one is able to survive, and then my opponent is left with just some friendly spirits, which aren't even going to be able to throw their stats on anything else. So looking pretty good at this point in the game, and we've got some good options to pick up here. A Robin Hood plus a Lancelot. Now, unfortunately, the Robin Hood wouldn't land on the Lancelot. The Robin Hood would land on itself. So that part is a little bit awkward. Not going to wind up picking up the Robin Hood, but I will pick up the Lance, and I actually just debate backlining the Lance here, so that way it could potentially get triggers from the Easter egg as well. A little bit silly, but we'll see how that goes for us. And then we're just going to move Shadow Assassin to the front line, start trying to scale that with our second River Wish Mermaid, but definitely looking for another River Wish Mermaid, so that way we could potentially find a Horn of Olympus and really just get the sleighs going on. And then of course we are going to be looking for a Baba Yaga down the line as well to backline and make full use of this ranged support or support stuff. Sorry, talking over myself a little bit here, but Shadow Assassin going to get the sleigh as well as all of these Lightning Dragons, and it's a really easy combat. The Fates, or not the Fates, Beauty has a Black Prism, which gave them a pretty cool board for the turn, but we got a Jormungand and a bunch of sleigh stuff, so, you know, what can you do? We're killing it here, and then we are going to roll down, try to take a look for some more dragons and mermaids, and we find Horn of the Olympus, or Horn of Olympus, which kind of makes me feel like I don't need Sky Castle. We could have potentially saved it for one more turn and used it to find Princess Peas, but I'm fine just tossing it and hanging on to the Easter egg here as well. I think that that's totally acceptable. The Easter egg giving some stats to a few of our characters, and then our characters being able to survive as well just means that we'll get to throw even more stats on them down the line. This board layout is actually kind of interesting. I think I would like to move everything in the front row over one, so that way Shadow Assassin... Oh, it doesn't matter. That's right. I've got Horn of Olympus. Sorry, forgot. So my frontline ordering doesn't matter. This is totally good. We're going to get sleighs on the dragon and on the assassin, which makes Jormungand just absolutely massive and allows us to take a victory here. We are going to wind up losing our Lancelot, so we won't get an Easter egg treasure on that, but we will get a kill onto the Fates. And now we're on to level 6. So we get to pick up another River Wish Mermaid here, if we even want it. But that's going to be a bunch of sleighs if we take it. The thing is, though, after we have picked up the Horn of Olympus, we don't need another River Wish Mermaid. We don't need to upgrade it. We don't need any additional tier 4 treasures, so there's just really no need to go for it. And we can see we do have the option to pick up a bunch of different Princess Peas here. I'm strongly considering it. Or I strongly considered the first one before realizing that I kind of just really want to add a Baba Yaga to this board as soon as possible before finding another Lightning Dragon, which will also increase our amount of sleighs. That's the point right now. Increase the amount of sleighs. Another River Wish Mermaid would have increased the amount of sleighs. I could have just played 3 backline mermaids, and that would have been fine and fun. We get really lucky on this combat, by the way, to not only dodge my opponent's soul-tacked unit, but also attack into their Medusa so that our Jormungand doesn't die. That allows us to stay at 45 health, no longer an all-wins game, but still, for now, a perfect game. So feeling pretty good about that, but we are now noticing that the King Midas and the Sphinx both have soul tax. And the reason for that, I think we will see in a second. But yeah, definitely a lot of soul tacking going on here. And this Lance not doing enough for us. I decided to shard it to hopefully find a Baba Yaga, because I really do feel like I need to add a Baba Yaga to this board to really start to scale some of my slaying. Not going to get lucky enough, not going to find it. I think that we'll still be okay against Muerte, but I am slightly worried about how we might have to battle against some of these Soul Tack players coming up in the future. I'm not even sure if I should be playing this Rotten Applewood here, but I just throw it in the back line. I figure it can't hurt. Lightning Dragons are really good against this opponent. We snipe their Echo Wood, and then we snipe one of their supports before killing the Princess P. And hopefully we've got enough stats to take my opponent down here. It is going to be a rather close one, though, because they've got a huge range character in the back line, and we actually take our first loss of the game against a 1 health opponent. Pretty awkward, but, you know, we still got some game to play here. And like I've said before, you can try to take some of your early lead and transition that into a late game lead. That's kind of what I was trying to do. I was never really trying to play tempo. I was taking some big risks and rolling a lot in most of my turns to try to find this Baba Yaga, because I really wanted to find it so that way we could just continue to scale this board even further. And up against the Ghost this turn, we do get to finally pick up a Baba Yaga, and I'm locking on to a Knighthood here. I think that it's probably good enough to either Knighthood the Baba Yaga or the Jormungand. It's actually a pretty tough call. Ultimately, I'm going to decide to Knighthood this Baba Yaga, so that way we can double the amount of slays that we do. Not quite double, but add a bunch of the amount of slays that we do. And the idea being that will then allow us to grow the Jormungand ourselves. And we can see that this beauty was also slaying a whole bunch, which definitely justifies how many opponents in this lobby were running soul tax that got to this end game here. But we aren't going to have to deal with Muerte. Muerte has been dealt with, and it is now just going to be up to me to get through these soul tax. I'm going to move my Lightning Dragons back in my comp a little bit. Fates wasn't one of the soul attack players, so they might still have it, but I'd hate to double attack with a Lightning Dragon just to have that outdone by a soul attack, so we want to move the Jormungand attack to be a little bit earlier, but still thinking that we can do some nice stuff with this. Let's go ahead and jump into the combat against the Fates and see how this works out. Oh, that's right, this was the Friendly Spirit player. We take out their full backline, everything but their Friendly Spirits, so that way their Friendly Spirits have nowhere to go. And a really large Jormungand should be enough to lock it up, though it is going to be a close combat. We are saved by the fact that Friendly Spirit is again their last unit dead. So potentially onto the finals. We are going to have to battle through both of these players, though, unfortunately, both of which have soul tack. And I told you this was going to be a fun end to the game, and that's why we are going to have to battle through 2 different soul tack players, well, kind of being all in on these Lightning Dragons. So I'm still going to wind up playing 1 Lightning Dragon here, hoping that it's able to find a slay, but ultimately really relying on this Shadow Assassin to carry us to victory here. Shadow Assassin being able to get us our first slay, and it's not that big of a deal that the Lightning Dragon is going to miss. There's nothing I can do about it at this point other than potentially play the Rotten Applewood instead of the Lightning Dragon, but we do have those Hermes boots, and I brought up that that is an important slay treasure, and this is why we will be able to get first attack, get first slay, and grow our Jormungands before we are in too much trouble here. Lightning Dragon is going to get next leveled, and then we're going to trade one of our characters with their soul tack that attacks in, and Jormungand is then going to attack into a Rotten Applewood. So we will end up taking some damage on this combat. We take 10 down to 28, and the Ghost deals with the other soul tack player. But we still got to battle through this one. I'm going to drink me potion into a Pigomorph just to slightly improve our odds at winning this brawl, and then I'm going to go for a tier 6 treasure. And this is a little bit spooky, but I felt like there were some tier 6 treasures that could impact our ability to win this combat, and wanted to grab it eventually. That way we could start to build some more units out in future turns. 28 health, still feeling pretty comfortable. This is a really interesting decision point in the game because Wand of Weirding is definitely a better treasure, but with my opponent at 12, I can just taste how close we are to a victory. And I'm doing some math, I'm realizing that Ivory Owl giving +2/+2 to our lesser lightning dragon will give it 30 attack and the ability to slay against my opponent's green knight in their back row. And just having an additional chance to slay I thought was worth going for, but my opponent next levels us and doesn't even play a third backline unit. They only play 2, both of which are behind Soltak. We are still going to get the slay with Jormungand, but then we're not going to have anything else to show for it, and we're going to walk away with just barely getting a loss. So one more Owl's trigger and that combat would have been a win, but that one unfortunately was a loss. So we've got to pivot a little bit, and Medusa was exactly what I was looking for. That is going to be able to slay regardless, take out one of my opponent's key king pieces here, or king key pieces? King pieces. One of their key pieces on the board. So we'll pick up a Medusa to be able to slay against that, and then we see a Jormungand in the shop, and thinking about just selling my Lightning Dragon, picking up Bearded Vulture, potentially just to play Bearded Vulture instead of Lightning Dragon here, and then lock on to a second Jormungand. That's the important part. And while a little bit silly, I think that it's actually right to just not play the Lightning Dragon here. My opponent is so obviously playing around it, and just an additional unit on the board allows something like Robin Wood to attack into it, and then I save myself my Jormungand. We get a really lucky combat on this one with Jormungand not dying to the Rotten Applewood, but it's not enough. My opponent is still able to hit us for 9. We're growing, but we are going to need a little bit more oomph to get through this game. We pick up another Jormungand, and I am hoping that that is the oomph that I need. I don't think that I need another Medusa. I think that my Shadow Assassin is going to be fine enough, but I'm not sure if you noticed this, Medusa wasn't able to slay last turn. I might even have to go back to it because I think I was personally talking over it and kind of forgot about it. But Medusa, if we take a look at this, is unable to slay because of the Green Knight at the start of combat. And that actually really messed us up. It took away a bunch of our stats here. Medusa attacks into, oh no, it wasn't because of the Green Knight. It was just because of the Sword of Fire and Ice that my opponent's character was able to survive. But either way, now when we factor in an additional +2/+2 from the Ivory Owl, we'll be able to clear the Sword of Fire and Ice. And when we factor in this blessing, whatever this spell is called here, we'll also be able to clear whatever is pumped up by the Green Knight. So this slay with Medusa, I think, should put us over the hump where we are potentially able to defeat our opponent, and an additional Jormungand, I think, should also help us go the distance. Let's see how things shake out. Medusa is going to attack and get the slay, so that's really nice. Jormungand's up into the 400s now on the bigger one and 300 on the smaller one. We still have our bigger one surviving though. That's what's important, and we are going to get the win and the kill onto King Midas. But really well played to my opponent to use the Soltak to really read what the room was doing and counteract all of these slay players. We were just able to slay one step ahead of it all. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm No Lux Given. Peace. This week's giveaway word is dust. Each week I use a new code word. That's just to distinguish who's commenting for which week. And the reason I have you guys say a code word, that way I can tell who is interested in the dust and who's just commenting to say hi or that they enjoyed the video, stuff like that. You can definitely do both. Just make sure you include this week's code word. You can also enter as many times as you want per week, once per video. You can go back, leave comments on old videos, just make sure they include this week's word, but there's no limit to how many times you can enter, other than, I guess, the amount of videos that I have. And I've been putting out a bunch of Storybook Brawl videos since last October, so yeah, there are a bunch of opportunities to enter to win. You can go through the backlog and watch some of those, but It's been really fun to receive the comments from you guys, get that level of interaction. You can also come join me on my Discord, which I'm trying to grow right now, just so that I have feedback on my titles and thumbnails and things like that, but I also have some fun ideas for special game modes that I could make work with lobbies of players in the future. So feel free to check that out as well. There is a link to that in the video description, and help me climb on my way to 1,000 subscribers. I'm getting there slowly but surely, and thank you guys all very much for your support.